but were stopped by the guards. Therefore, the only way for them to find out the answers to their questions was to seek out Perseus. But what about Perseus? They did not see the man, because the moment the emperor turned around, Perseus knew that staying any longer would lead to trouble. So he took his family and fled through another door. Well, Jerome and Andre were just some random bystanders who followed along on their own. Chapter 89, Declaration of Confidence. Perseus, what on earth is going on? Perseus, what happened? You scum. Explain yourself. Many people had questions, and the most curious of them were Andre, Jerome, and Lovia. With so many people talking at once, it was difficult to explain clearly, so Perseus could only request to speak with them privately. The first one is Andre. Andre looked very serious and somewhat angry, which was understandable, given that this concerned his life's most important matter. His Majesty summoned you just to discuss this matter? Andre asked calmly, barely managing to maintain his composure. That's right. What else did he say? He also said he hoped you would give up on Ivisus soon, Perseus said after a moment's hesitation. Andre remained silent. Your Highness, although I can roughly guess that you do not want anyone to interfere in your love life. Unfortunately, this is His Majesty's decree, and I have no choice but to obey. So there will inevitably be times when I disturb you in the future. Please bear with me. Don't worry. I know this is beyond my control, and I won't make things difficult for you. But I've already said before, I won't give up, so no matter what you do, it's all in vain. I absolutely will give up. Andre's gaze was intense as he spoke each word clearly. But Your Highness, you won't leave me unable to explain myself to His Majesty, will you? Perseus smiled. I told you I wouldn't make things difficult for you, and I would cooperate as much as possible, but I would never allow you to be with another girl. That's enough. Thank you very much. Snort. Andre returned to the crowd. Jerome walked over, his face beaming with undisguised excitement. Perseus, did the Emperor send you to intervene because he couldn't stand Andre's harassment of Ivisa? As long as he finds the crown princess, Ivisa will be safe. Yes, that's about right. Perseus nodded. Great. It should have been done a long time ago. Jerome exclaimed happily. You'd better keep up the good work. Don't hesitate to ask me for help if you need anything. I'll do anything to keep this guy away from Ivisa. His Highness is as simple-minded as Luna, just like always. Although the matter was far from being as simple as Jerome thought, Perseus didn't explain the difficulties and key points to him in detail, but just kept nodding. Jerome went home satisfied. Finally, there was Lovia, who was even more excited than Andre, her breasts surging like a raging torrent. Perseus, Lovia's voice was hoarse. Why would His Majesty assign you such an important task? I don't know either, but I think His Majesty must have his reasons for doing this. All I can do is faithfully carry out the tasks he has assigned me, Perseus said. I don't think you have any idea what kind of trouble you've gotten yourself into. Lovia sneered. Perhaps Miss Lovia could offer some guidance? Choosing a consort for His Highness the Crown Prince is extremely risky. The slightest mistake could cost you your life. Oh, there are many girls who want to be the Crown Princess, and even more who want to be the next Empress. Now you are the key figure in this process. In order to achieve their goals, they and their families will spare no effort to win you over and corrupt you. Once you can't resist the temptation and do something to enrich yourself, you will die without a burial place. The only way to save your life is to act impartially. You should know very well what kind of person is suitable to be the Crown Princess. So even for your own sake, you cannot abuse your power for personal gain or exclude the most suitable candidate because of personal grudges. Perseus could hardly contain his laughter upon hearing this. Miss Lovia, the most suitable candidate you mentioned, wouldn't it be yourself? You have an objection? Lovia looked at him with arrogance, not ashamed at all. You are indeed the best choice in every respect. Perseus nodded. Oh, the only problem is that His Highness the Crown Prince doesn't like you. Are you looking for death? Lovia instantly flew into a rage. Don't be angry, Miss Lovia. A bad temper is not in line with the requirements for the Crown Princess. After all, His Majesty requires that the future Crown Princess must have a gentle personality. Lovia barely managed to suppress her anger, but her eyes were still anything but gentle. Miss Lovia, there's something I'll just say to you frankly, Perseus said with a smile. What's up? In order to broaden the selection of consorts this time, and to ensure that there are girls who can win the heart of His Highness the Crown Prince, His Majesty has relaxed the requirements for the Crown Princess's family background. In other words, your noble birth, which you are so proud of, is no longer a factor. Lovia frowned slightly. So what? Even disregarding my background, I am still that one and only unparalleled, perfect candidate. Isn't that right? Lovia frowned even more. In my heart, that is indeed true. Pooh, but what I admire about you, your unparalleled beauty and exquisite figure, as well as your noble and pure heart, are all insignificant in the eyes of His Majesty, the one who truly makes the decisions. He has lowered almost all his requirements, just to find the one true love that His Highness the Crown Prince can truly cherish. Your competitors are no longer just a very few noble ladies, but all the unmarried girls in the entire empire, and even the entire Western continent. Even if you exclude half of them who are too poor to participate in the selection, there are still millions left. Among these millions of people, even someone as radiant as you would have your brilliance drowned out by these staggering numbers. Now, think carefully again. What advantages do you still have that would undoubtedly help you in first place? Lovia remained silent. Then she asked, how much say do you actually have in this matter? It can be 0, or it can be infinity. How much exactly? It's none of your business, Perseus said calmly. I will act impartially as you said, and will never be bribed by anyone, whether it's money or fake affection. We'll see. In the end, you'll still choose me. Because if you truly act impartially as you claim, you won't have any other choice. Lovia scoffed. Don't even mention millions, even tens of millions, hundreds of millions, as long as that woman doesn't run for election. I, Lovia, am not afraid in the slightest. If the woman you're talking about is Ivisa, rest assured, she won't run for office because she's already my woman, Perseus said. Then I have nothing to worry about. I hope you remember what you said, or I'll be the first to get back at you. Lovia turned and left with an indelible air of arrogance. Although this bombshell was quite shocking, it didn't stop everyone from spending a whole day wandering around the capital and having a pretty good time. The next day, as soon as Perseus stepped out of his apartment, he was surrounded by most of the girls in the college. His eyes were dazzled by the sight of women of all shapes and sizes. Damn it, this is the real way to select a concubine. Chapter 90 Passionate Girls. Perseus had never in his entire life, not even once, been surrounded by so many women, all of them gazing at him with such intense intensity. Unfortunately, he's been surrounded by stunningly beautiful women lately, so even though there are plenty of girls around, there aren't many that are worth his attention. Even more regrettably, none of these girls were there for him. Don't be fooled by their affectionate way of addressing each other. Lord Perseus, good morning. Lord Perseus, have you gone out? Lord Perseus, what a beautiful day. Perseus looked at the dense dark clouds in the sky and smiled without saying a word. The suffering inflicted on my ears was far more painful than having the road completely blocked by these girls. Girls' voices are already shrill, and when so many girls shout at the same time, the cacophony of hundreds of voices is even more piercing than the chirping of 10,000 sparrows. The brothers in the same apartment are not affected when they go out. As soon as they got a little close to the crowd, several hands would quickly reach out and pull them inside. Then the girls would pass them around like trash and throw them out. By the time they came to their senses, they were already standing outside the crowd, disheveled. Perseus stood cautiously at the apartment door, ready to run back at the slightest sign of trouble. If he fell into their hands, he would be missing at least some parts of his body. Fortunately, although the girls were anxious, they still managed to stay rational. More importantly, they may really want to leave a good impression on him, so they not only try their best to restrain themselves with a smile, but also pay attention to the movements of the people around them. Even so, with so many people gathered together, it was only a matter of time before things got out of control. With Ivisa by his side, and his own strength now approaching that of a 6th-tier mage, nothing could possibly happen to him. What I'm afraid of is these young girls. If they cause a commotion later, and I end up killing or trampling a few, it will ruin his reputation. Even if only one person dies, these are all nobles, and this is a very serious matter. In that case, his term as the highly anticipated imperial concubine selection official would be over in less than a day. He was also hoping to use this identity to find an opportunity to sneak into the palace and meet his mother-in-law and sister-in-law. How could I let these vile women ruin my good time? What should we do? Should we drive them away? Ivisa asked calmly. I'll try to communicate with them first. If that doesn't work, then I'll just have to. Suddenly, 2 familiar male voices drowned out the girls' voices. Excuse me, please make way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. It's Jerome and Andre. Given their height, they stood out like cranes among chickens in a crowd of girls, so Perseus spotted them immediately. They were steadily parting the crowd and moving closer to us, their calm and unwavering demeanor reassuring. The girls turned around angrily. Anyone who dares to be so rude and disrespectful to them will be torn to shreds by them if it were any other man. But it was precisely those two men who frequently appeared in their dreams. Then, countless screams, powerful enough to tear eardrums and shatter glass, erupted all at once. Perseus and Ivaisa were already in great pain, while Andre and Jerome were stunned for several seconds, unable to imagine the suffering they were enduring. But they still stubbornly walked this way. He really made me cry my eyes out. The girls automatically parted to make way for them, gazing up at their profiles with longing, uttering sounds that were difficult to decipher. Ah, it's His Highness the Crown Prince. Girl, I think you need to go home and change your pants. Prince Jerome is so handsome. Girl, aren't you here to choose the Crown Princess? Perseus was disillusioned with this appearance-obsessed world. Even if these two men are as handsome as the male protagonists of Otome games, so stunning that even men would find them irresistible, is there any need for them to act so infatuated in public? Amidst countless strange noises, two handsome men arrived before Perseus, and Ivaisa beside him. Perseus, I'm here to take you to the classroom. Just as I expected, you didn't anticipate this kind of trouble when you were feeling smug yesterday, did you? Jerome is so thoughtful. Thank you both for your help. Perseus smiled and bowed. It's nothing. It's not like it's for you anyway. You're too kind. We're all friends. Damn it, Andre. It seems we really need to find this guy, a formidable woman, to tame him quickly. Perseus thought to himself that he should give the girls present an explanation before he left. Ladies, attention! Perseus stepped forward and waved to them. The girl, whose attention was completely captivated by Jerome and Andre, belatedly looked at him. Regarding His Highness the Crown Prince's selection of a consort, I will set aside 2 hours during the lunch break each day for interviews. Those interested in participating in the selection can line up in the Academy's central courtyard. At other times, I hope everyone can maintain their normal routines and not disturb the students' and teacher studies and rest. Anyone who violates this rule will be disqualified from the selection. I will not tolerate it. Now, everyone can leave. Perseus clapped his hands, his gaze sharpening. The girls scattered in all directions, running faster than rabbits. Perseus, you're amazing. It seems that even without me, they couldn't stop you. Jerome's smile was bright and sunny. They're all just ordinary women. Do you really think any of them would be a crown princess approved by this crown prince? Andre scoffed. Even if it's not among them, it will be elsewhere. Your Highness, please don't be impatient. I will do my best for your marriage. You'll give up eventually. Since everything's all right now, I'll be going. Andre, with a cold face, secretly glanced at Ivia, then walked away with an air of superiority, his steps becoming awkwardly unsteady. This guy's always causing trouble. Jerome stared at Andre's strange back with dissatisfaction. Your Highness Jerome, have you had breakfast? Not yet. My sister is still waiting for me at home. I have to go now. This time it's mechanical walking. Let's go to the cafeteria, Perseus said with a smile, taking Ivaisa's hand. Ivaisa remained unfazed by everything that had happened so far today, including holding hands. However, despite Perseus's warning that he would be disqualified from the selection of a bride if his normal routine was disrupted, his normal routine was still disturbed. Wherever he goes, the proportion of women in the crowd he sees is exceptionally high. These girls were also cunning. They simply walked around in front of him to make themselves known, without approaching him or blocking his way, and they remained silent. That way, he really can't lash out. Even their usual rooftop dates with Helen have turned into enjoying the scenery. The rooftop, which was usually deserted, was now packed with girls admiring the view. Helen was so angry she almost laughed and nearly pulled down his pants in front of everyone to force a routine. Fortunately, Perseus comforted his girlfriend with a hug and a kiss. Otherwise, their reputation will be completely ruined. And so, they made it to lunch break. Chapter 91 Introduction. Noon, in the school courtyard. Perseus asked Winnie to help him set up the venue in advance,